Well, good Thursday evening, everyone. Todd Warren here on Facebook Live tonight with update on the wintry weather that we are experiencing over parts of the ArkLaTex on this Thursday evening. And some of you have commented on my page and other posts that did we get missed? Did we get missed? We're not done yet, as we still have to get through the night. We have seen a bit of a shift more towards liquid up towards Texarkana, but probably will see some snow before it's all said and done around Texarkana. If you're wondering about that, I'll have the latest total projection coming up in just a bit. We are looking at mainly rain, East Texas and Northwest Louisiana, but it is possible that we could at times dip near at or even a little bit below freezing. So freezing rain could be on the table for a few spots, but I don't expect any major issues from that, especially when it comes to power, although we will have to keep an eye on extreme northeast Texas and southwest Arkansas, where we could see a little bit more in terms of better chance of a little bit more freezing rain. I'll show you the latest numbers here in a second as well. Good news is, get through tonight, we'll see one final band of snow move through the area tomorrow morning, and then we'll be pretty much done and probably will warm above freezing over most of the area tomorrow, well above freezing Saturday, and even more above freezing on Sunday as we try to get back to normal by the time we get to the end of the weekend. And I'll also share with you the longer range outlook. Not going to go to grain of salt time tonight due to how much I need to cover, but it does look like we're going to warm by next weekend up into the 60s. Might see a little bit of a cool down again sometime during the middle of next week, but we'll wait and see how that plays out. So if you have a question or a comment, feel free to ask away. I'm going to do my best to answer all your questions, as I don't have as much on the docket here purposely. So hello, Brian, Sarah, hello there in Brooklyn. Cold rain. Yes, definitely a cold rain. I can hear it on the roof of the studio here. Celicia Powell, all rain, yes, so far in spots. Eric says 31 degrees in his neck of the woods in Colbert, Oklahoma. I do think you will still, Drew. Probably not as much as we were thinking earlier, since there's more liquid involved. But nonetheless, I'll show you the numbers here in a second. Lewis says freezing rain in Texarkana. Good to know, Lewis. Keep an eye on that. I did check the power outage numbers just out of curiosity, and there's nothing unusual given the fact that we're so close to freezing. Melanie in New Boston, hello to you. All right, let me, you can see the live view from Shreveport as well as Marshall, rain, Texarkana. It looks like still liquid there as well. Did see some snow earlier today in DeKalb, and it looks like there's a little bit of glistening on the trees there as well. You can kind of see that. So might be seeing a little bit of freezing rain accumulation there in the DeKalb, Texas area. Looks like evidence of maybe some icing on the trees there in DeKalb. Let's move ahead here. Let me get back to where I can advance the graphics very quickly and show you what we have as far as the radar. And again, what the radar attempts to do is tell us what is falling, okay? And you can see greens, definitely all rain. Temperatures in deep East Texas pretty close to freezing, so we could have a little bit of freezing rain in spots here. And again, we have this pink area, so that's a mixed bag of precipitation. Looks like a pretty good band of maybe sleet is possible. Since sleet is solid, it tends to send back brighter, more energy back to the radar. But nonetheless, it does look like there could be some sleet. Let me check one thing on my phone here. There is an app that you can download that University of Oklahoma runs called MPing, and basically what that does is you simply tell what's happening at your location, be it rain, be it sleet, be it freezing rain, be it snow, and that gets put into a database that they can compare to the radar to make the radar better. All right, view reports. Oop, I don't want to do that. I want to go, and there's a radar app that actually plots those. That's where I meant to go on here. Let me see if I got anything that's on here. I don't see anything that do I have it turned on? Yes, I do, but I don't see anything that's popping on, at least in our neck of the woods here. Let's see. Sorry for the, I just wanted to see if there's any ground truth to what I'm seeing on the radar here, and I don't see any of those reports here within the app that I'm looking at. But nonetheless, you can see still rain, and we've seen persistent snow here over McCurtain County, Red River County, northern, especially northern Sevier County. There is an RDOT camera there near Gillum, which shows some snow covering the ground, and I've seen some pictures here on my Facebook page. I think Locksburg was one with some snow on the ground. So we do definitely have some snow on the ground over the northern edge of the ArkLaTex, and you can see the heavier bands of rain here moving through Shreveport now. And again, it wouldn't shock me if this is sleet that's coming up towards Texarkana. So it's going to be interesting to see what some of the ground truth comes in from that one. All right, so that's what the radar looks like right now. This is a radar estimation of snowfall, and this is not what's on the ground. Key point, because ground temperature is probably a lot of it's melted, in other words. So you can see the radar thinks that more than 4 inches has fallen on Idabel, more than 5 inches in Clarksville, 3 inches in Broken Bow, Batiste, Oklahoma, and northern McCurtain County, 9 inches, 3 inches in DeQueen and Foreman. You can see almost an inch, and just a trace in other locations in southwest Arkansas. 6/10 in DeKalb. I can tell you there's not 6/10 on the ground in Texarkana, in DeKalb. So again, the radar, this is what the radar says has fallen based on its estimation on the image I just showed you with the loop. So it basically says, okay, this is snow, and then does some calculations and puts these numbers in. So that's what it looks like possibly has fallen, not necessarily accumulated yet. We'll get to the possible accumulations here in a second. Road conditions, again, this is an estimation, and where we have white, we probably do have snow on the ground, and you can see the pockets of blue where this particular product indicating heavy snow. The pinks are where we could have a few icy spots, some slick spots on the roads. That's definitely a possibility. Now, I noticed in the car on the way back from work, I was at 33, 34, coming back from Bossier City on 220. So we are slightly above freezing in Shreveport, and I believe at the airport the last temperature was 34. It sounds close to freezing, but water doesn't freeze at 32.5. It doesn't freeze at 32.9, and it certainly doesn't freeze at 34. You got to get to 32 or below before that process begins to happen. And when we tell you those temperatures, just because it says 32 doesn't mean it's 32.0, right? So start to get more concerned when you see 31. But that's what it looks like right now as far as possible road conditions. And earlier this evening during the 6 o'clock newscast, you looked at the RDOT site, and basically north of some slushy spots around, basically north of Texarkana, around Ashdown. Then we get to more snow covered as you get up towards DeQueen. All right, current temperatures 34, as I mentioned, in Shreveport. It's 32 in Marshall, 33 the current temperature in Texarkana still, hence the lack of snow there so far. As we have this low, which is moving up the coast, and as it moves by, it'll begin to pull in the colder air, and that will begin to happen later on tonight from northwest to southeast. So we'll see the colder air that's now to our northwest begin to filter in. So this is how what all that means as we move forward here. And I'm going to go through this, and then I'm going to answer some of your questions or look at some of your comments for possible questions. But here's a plot of the HRRR model. This is the very latest run. It updates every hour. It only goes out 18 hours, but it covers the amount of time that we're interested in. And again, pink is either freezing rain or sleet, I believe, on this. Could be sleet, but possibly freezing rain. Blue is snow, and the greens and yellows are obviously rain. So as I push this forward, you can see we will possibly warm up here a bit, especially East Texas and especially Northwest Louisiana during the night tonight. So we're at 34. The fact that we have not hit freezing yet is encouraging to me as far as Shreveport is concerned. But notice as we move forward in time, still pink at midnight in Texarkana. We will see a change over to snow probably after midnight there along I-30 and points to the northwest. That's when any accumulation would begin to occur. Notice we're still rain in Shreveport, But as we wrap things up, that low pulls away. You can see the surface winds becoming north and northwesterly. We'll continue with the snow north, and we might see a few flakes in Shreveport tomorrow morning, but I kind of doubt that we'll see much as far as any accumulation of just based on what you just saw here, freezing rain or snow for that matter. It's looking very promising. In East Texas could be a little bit of a different story, as you'll see here in a second, but nonetheless, that's what it looks like as far as temperatures. And again, going up to noon, you can see maybe a few lingering flurries across the north by the end of the morning, but we should be pretty much done by 9-10 o'clock for most of the area, and probably going to see highs tomorrow in the 30s, mid-30s north, upper 30s, maybe 40 across the south. Where we're looking at mainly rain. Oh, let me stop here before I get into the, well, let me talk about this. Again, a good 1.5 to 2 inches, East Texas, Northwest Louisiana, where we're going to see pretty much all rain. And I'll get to the winter stuff here in a second. Let me bring your comments back up here and go through. All right, so let's see who is tuning in here. I'm going to scroll up to where I left off. All right, I remember Lewis's comment and Melanie. Amanda, I do think you're going to get some snow, and I'll show you how much. Not as much as we were projecting yesterday, but still some, which, you know, if you're traveling, you don't want too much. It was miserable today, Cullen, I will give you that. And it's going to be more miserable tonight and possibly tomorrow morning. Crystal says all rain so far in Texarkana. It will change, Crystal. 32 and cold rain in Atlanta. Thanks, Jason. That's good to know. Any ground truth that I get is helpful as far as applying that to what we're seeing on the radar. Angie in Center, Texas, you're probably going to see all rain, Angie, there. There is a chance you might at times dip close to maybe get a little bit of freezing rain, but it shouldn't amount to too much. Chris says, rain and cold in Provençal, and you're going to stay that way, Chris, and I don't see any winter precipitation for you. Elysian Fields, seeing rain, sleet, so mixed, 31 degrees. Thanks, Donna, appreciate that. And a lot of that could be, we got this heavier band coming in. It was kind of interesting this morning as the precipitation began. Temperatures were in the mid-30s, right? But the dew point was in the low to middle 20s, all right? So that precipitation, lower dew point means the air is relatively dry when there's a big spread like that. So the air starts to fall, a lot of that, or the rain starts to fall, a lot of that rain evaporates, and you know what happens when evaporation occurs? It makes things colder. And so the temperature drops because of that, but the dew point comes up, and eventually the two pretty much meet, and we're pretty much at that point, I think, over most of the area. Nicole wants to know, why is there a bubble around Bossier? I have a smart comment. You know, the old Barksdale bubble theory, does it apply to winter weather? In this case, probably yes. But the bubble tends to move wherever it wants. Just today, it's camped out near Bossier, Nicole. Meredith, nice to see you here, Meredith. Aaron says, some sleet and lots of snow there. Are you in Wright City? Yeah, Wright City. All right, I saw one from Brad, your friend up there in WCOK, is what we called Wright City. Shared a picture of some of the snowfall. And don't forget, go to the local views page of our website. That's where I can use those pictures. I can't take them off of Facebook anymore because we're told it's not proper, if you know what I mean. Hello there, Olivia. Steve, you're not going to get as much there in Magnolia. Never really were, but you're not done yet. It's probably going to be tomorrow morning, I would think. Very late tonight, tomorrow morning before you see some. And that was pretty much always the plan. Pine Bluff, straight ice. Yuck. You can keep that stuff, Roberto. Greg says, raining in Texarkana. Nice to know. I wouldn't be surprised if we get some sleet, though. based on that band coming in. Aaron, you will get some more snow. You're not done yet. In the Idabel, the radar estimation I showed you earlier showed 2 inches in Idabel. It's now estimating over 4, so there's still plenty of snow out there. Shauna, yes, I think you will see some more snow. Tano says straight rain in Texarkana. Good to know. Uh-oh, something's wrong with the notifications, Betty says. Angie says big flakes in Broken Bow. Whoa, 6 to 7 inches on the ground. Wow. That's the first report I've seen that big. Interesting. Bob says freezing rain in Ashdown, the power is out. Okay. Let me go back to the radar, Bob, and before I get to the accumulations, and I'll show you the power outages and see what is being shown there in national power numbers. So this is what's popped up. It does look like we've seen the occasional ones here along I-30. Nothing has to hit 100 before this lights up. That is the threshold. And basically, power out gets reported to the power company. They submit it to this website. The website provides it to our computer, and then it takes about 10 minutes, sometimes longer, for all that to occur. So there's usually a little bit of a lag between the power outages showing up and what we see. And notice they kind of flash, so it goes off and it comes back on. That's been pretty much the trend of what we're seeing so far. All right, let me go back to the accumulations here and continue on. Gail says raining in Marshall, rain in Genoa, sleet in New Boston, temp 32. Thanks, Jennifer. Sarah, give me past tonight, and I'll be able to tell you your weather tonight. Sorry again, it's one of those nights where we gotta focus on the homeland, so to speak. Sorry about that. Robert says lots of ice in Domino, Texas, building up on the trees. Sleeting in Ashdown. All right, I see questions about individual towns, so you can see here is what we're looking at. And as far as these green and red numbers, I kind of explained this last night. The green numbers represent, if you take all the models, put them in a room, all right, you come up with what you think is most likely to happen. They come up with the green number. And you also tell them what's the worst case scenario, only 10% chance it happens. They come up with that number, and here they are. So you can see most likely we will see 1 to 2 inches in Texarkana. Now, the latest run of the ACRRR, I looked at the snow number, accumulation number from that in Texarkana was right at 1 inch. So it could be somewhere in that 1 to 2 inch range. Notice the worst case number not really that much higher, which is not surprising. So I would say 1 inch or 2 in Texarkana is what I would expect. And pretty much that applies to everyone along Interstate 30. Notice as you go down towards Mount Pleasant, the number very similar. It's probably very similar for Hope. So if you live close to Interstate 30, 1 inch or 2. As you move north of that, the numbers will go up. Someone reported 6, 7 inches in Broken Bow. You can see the models indicate 4.6 likely, but worst case scenario, there's a 10% chance of 8 inches in Idabel and DeQueen. And as you move south, it's likely that we won't see any in Shreveport. Yesterday, that number was 2/10. I think we're going to see something. But worst case, less than 1 inch along I-20. And further to the south, no snow, both most likely and worst case. So not going to see any snow in Center, not going to see any snow in Mansfield, Natchitoches, or anywhere in Natchitoches Parish. And as far as Magnolia, you can see maybe 1/2 inch to 1 inch. Worst case scenario there in Magnolia, about 1 inch. And I think, Betty, for you, it's very similar. Probably less than 1 inch there for El Dorado, that area there in Union County. All right, so that's the look at the snowfall numbers. Here's the rainfall numbers, and what has happened with these is they have over the course of the last several runs gone up, which reflects what some of the high-res models are seeing. So notice it's doubtful that we'll see much of anything in Marshall, basically I-20 and points to the south. But the one thing I wanted to point out here is that, actually a couple things. It's likely you'll get at least 1/10 of an inch of freezing rain in Texarkana, in Linden, hence the ice on the trees. I showed you the ice on the trees in DeKalb with the camera there. Same thing in Mount Pleasant. And notice the red numbers. It's also possible, worst case scenario, a few spots could get a couple of tenths of an inch of ice accumulation. As I've made the point the last couple of nights, and it's getting late, it takes 1/4 of an inch for us to see, more widespread power issues because of the weight of the ice on the trees. So it's looking doubtful that we'll see that much. Now, I will tell you the HRRR is showing a bit higher than 2/10. So it's not out of the question that we could get more than 1/4 of an inch. So East Texas, Northwest Louisiana, I think impacts will be minimal. If you're traveling in that part of the ArkLaTex tomorrow morning, watch the bridges and overpasses. As you work north of Texarkana, especially, travel is going to be very hazardous tomorrow. So that's what it looks like, and I was going to go longer range, so let's go ahead and do that after we get through tomorrow. Several days of dry weather. We might see a shot for some rain next weekend, but the good news is by then we should be in the 60s. Quick look at your forecast before I wrap up tonight. 8:52, getting close to the 9 o'clock newscast. Again, looking at a mix of freezing rain, snow north, mainly rain with possibly some snow or freezing rain mixed in. Temperature in Shreveport should hold fairly steady, right around 32, 33 tonight, 31, 32 in Texarkana. Tomorrow, we should warm up above freezing, mid-30s north, upper 30s, low 40s south and southeast, as again, a little bit of snow possible from I-20 and points northward during the morning, and then we'll stay cloudy. 10-day forecast shows sunshine returning Saturday, 55 Sunday, 50s all next week, lows in the 30s, 60s by the end of the week with next shot of rain as we look ahead to next weekend. Well, I think that is all my time for tonight, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Again, don't forget to tune in tonight at 9. I'm going to see the latest on any snowfall updates on that. And, of course, I'll have those during the 9 o'clock newscast on Fox 33 and at 10 on NBC6. So we'll be here tomorrow night. It's been a long week, but I'll be back Monday with a live update, which should be pretty much back to normal for a change. So, as always, pleasure chatting with you. We'll talk to you again on Monday. Good night.